with service type businesses, this is where you start playing in a weird world of finding a mix between affiliate marketing and influencer marketing, because there are a lot of businesses that have created thought leadership channels, communities, groups, and profiles, but they're traditionally affiliate marketers. So they're looking at bringing you in new business for a commission of that new lead or that new client, but they are doing it through ways of social media and influence.
There just wasn't a lot of people in our client base that were huge sports nuts or into a lot of the athletic things. So I thought, shit, how the hell would I use these sports influencers? Because now it's a complete pop shot for me to try it because I have no idea where to start. And now hearing you say specifically, you need to know what their client base are. Do they have the business owners and the likes? How the hell do you find that information? And in this day and age, I can tell you that the whole idea of influencers, influencer marketing, you're either all the way in or you're tiptoeing around the outside trying to figure out how the hell do I actually do this kind of stuff? How do I find influencers? Should I be using influencers? There's so many things that swirl around this whole influencer game. So I'm stoked to bring Brandon on to talk about this. But Brandon, where the hell does a business owner who's 3-4 years in building kind of this business model? They've heard all about influencer marketing. Where the hell does somebody start when they start thinking about influencer marketing?
Yeah, I think influencer marketing, it's been around forever. You look at, boxes of Wheaties back in the day with Olympic athletes. And so we've always been getting influenced. I think now with social media being as present as it is, the name of an influencer has developed and changed dramatically. And so it's made creating influence online to fan bases more accessible for businesses because you have a whole range of influencers. You don't have to go to the gold medal winner from the Olympics or the number one player in the world to create that level of influence. You have what are called micro influencers. And so for a new business that's really starting out, that's still a new world to them. Micro influencing is still a pretty uncommon theory across a lot of businesses, but it's where a lot of people are trending because you have a much more engaged fan base, although it be smaller. They trust their influencers a lot more. They're a lot more engaged. They want to follow them, and they're a lot more affordable. And that's really the big keyword when it comes to influencer marketing is affordability, because you have so many brands that shy away from it because they just off the bat don't think that they can afford it. And for ourselves, we work at Millions. We work with over 4,000 athletes, and those athletes range from just starting their career, collegiate level athletes, new into professional sports and just drafted, all the way to some of the biggest athletes in the world. And so obviously there's different price ranges throughout the scale, but we've seen it time and time again where small brands can come in and even with small budgets of a few $100 or a couple $1,000 can run really great campaigns with influencers, and it really changes your business.
Yeah, it's wild. So for me, when I think about influencers, I instantly think of Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And like for us, our client base may be on Instagram, but it's never been a platform, that we have doubled down on to say, okay, we're going to go all in on Instagram. We've played a lot more on LinkedIn, and we've pulled hundreds of thousands of dollars out of, business out of that platform. Are these microfluencers everywhere? Are they just Instagram? I mean, can I find people on LinkedIn and the likes that would do this kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, you have influencers no matter what platform you're on. They just look different, right? On Instagram, influencers tend to be ones who are content creators. On TikTok, they tend to be ones who are video creators or people who are doing live streams. On LinkedIn, you're looking at a lot more thought leadership, people who are daily posting about different thoughts, different trending topics, and how to address and apply that to your business. And even this podcast, right? Like it's about finding different ways to grow your business, different growth modes, and that's what LinkedIn specializes in is the influencers on there are business leaders, business owners, and thought leaders who can help provide that day-to-day content of support to your business and things that you can create takeaways from. So those influencers exist on any platform that you're on.
So, yeah, the other thing that I think about when I think about influencers is it seems to be more product based. Like they can say, "Hey, wear this shirt," or drink this bottle, or I'm cooking with this hot sauce, or some
Mhm.
crap like that. Depending on the platform. But when you're talking about a service based company, maybe they're a consulting firm, maybe they're a SaaS type company. You might be able to test the software and things like that. But where does influence come into play there when they're like, so let's try like a consultant, maybe they have like for us, we have the Badass Business Summit coming up in September,
Mhm.
and our target audience are these small service-based business owners. How the hell would we use influencer marketing to reach a 35 to 55 plus audience that are all service-based business owners? How would we use influencer marketing to try and get those people to come to a summit? Is that a doable thing, or is that wishful thinking on my part?
It's definitely a doable thing. And I will say that, with service type businesses, this is where you start playing in a weird world of finding a mix between affiliate marketing and influencer marketing, because there are a lot of businesses that have created thought leadership channels, communities, groups, and profiles, but they're traditionally affiliate marketers. So they're looking at bringing you in new business for a commission of that new lead or that new client, but they are doing it through ways of social media and influence. Now, you'd be surprised. So at Millions, like I mentioned, we work with over 4,000 athletes. And what's really cool about what we've done is we've been able to explore through the tools we've developed, um, who these athletes' fans are. And you'd be surprised, even on Instagram, how many of these athletes have businesses that follow them, have entrepreneurs that follow them, have small business owners that follow them. We've pulled over 1,200 different categories, not just an individual sports fan, of people that follow these athletes. So you can look at those same tools across any market, not just sports, but we can look at that in business. We can look at that in traditional content creators, and you can look at who follows them and identify all these different groups. So when you're thinking of influencing, it's and using an influencer for your marketing tactics and trying to find someone who aligns to your business, that's the first key is who is the right influencer for your business, who follows them and what categories follow them, and is that going to apply to my business? So if you're product based, you want someone who has a lot of individuals who follow them, who match those demographics that are your target demographics. But if you're a business and you're trying to find serviceable businesses, you want to find profiles that have businesses following them, or business owners who are following them, or entrepreneurs, startup owners, things that you can immediately be able to address with your type of content that you're collaborating on. So there's the ability, even for service-based businesses, to use influencer marketing. But the challenge is that this data that I keep talking about, it's not easy to get as an individual. So that's typically
100%.
where you have to rely on kind of other platforms or other businesses who do have access to that data, in order to help support you in connecting and collaborating with the right partners. Because I, I mean, I'm sure I don't have to tell you, so many people try working with influencers and they don't get ROI. And it's because of two reasons. One, people aren't stupid. So if they see
Yep.
an influencer post something that they've never heard of, never seen before, they're not just immediately going to buy. You're maybe going to get a few sales from it. You're going to get a few transactions from it. But influencer marketing is a very long term game because you need them to create authenticity amongst their fan base. You need people really thinking, wow, they use this product and this business all the time. They trust it. And so now because I've repeatedly seen it, I'm going to trust it and I'm going to go give it a try. So that's kind of one,
100%.
is that longevity. Two is finding the right influencer. People think following means sales. So they say, okay, this person has 50,000 followers, 500,000 followers, 5 million followers. I'm going to pay them money and they're going to make a post. And if only 1% of those people convert to a sale, I'm good. And it's just, that's not the right way of thinking about influencer marketing. So the two kind of key things that people need to look for is, how do I identify the right fit for my business based on their audience that they're reaching? And how can I afford or create some kind of relationship that I can get more long-term use out of this partnership other than a one-time post?
So that makes sense. I hadn't thought about influencer marketing as a long term play. I be honest, thought about it as a transactional move. Like, okay, cool. I have an energy drink. They say drink this energy drink, like you see a
Mm-hmm.
TV commercial type deal, and you sell it. So that's a good reframe to think about it as a long term play. So we'll go with athletes even. I after I interviewed Matt, I pulled my clientele and said, who are some of your famous sports athletes? Who do you follow? And I got fucking crickets.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there just wasn't a lot of people in our client base that were huge sports nuts or into a lot of the athletic things. So I thought, shit, how the hell would I use these sports influencers? Because now it's a complete pop shot for me to try it because I have no idea where to start. And now hearing you say specifically, you need to know what their client base are. Do they have the business owners and the likes? How the hell do you find that information?
Yeah, so it's taken us years to really develop that. At first when we launched Millions, we wanted to help some of our personal friends who are athletes and help them launch their own brand and kind of create a channel that they could develop. And then Millions developed from there. We really realized that that problem didn't just exist amongst, our network. It didn't just exist in combat sports. It kind of existed across all sports for all athletes. If you're not in that top 1% of athletes,
Mm-hmm.
no one's really supporting you. And so we wanted to offer kind of a very ver- a large variety of support to these athletes in building their own brand and building their own channels. As we started to develop that, we're kind of a three-sided marketplace. We support the athletes, they draw in their fans who we also support. And then now that we have this great relationship between the athletes and their fans, we've started to work with a lot of brands that have come in to tap in to both sides of those of that marketplace. And so, as we've worked with brands, one thing that we noticed was a huge issue was none of them really knew who they would want to work with or who would represent their business very well.
Yep.
Traditionally, some brands have done a lot of TV marketing and TV advertising for different sports, but even then, aside from telling us, hey, here's the sport we're interested in, they really didn't have much detail to give. So this is where we had to understand, okay, well, who are you trying to target? What is your objective? What is your goal as a business? Who are you trying to target? And our team, because we got to know the athletes very well and their fans very well, started to develop ways to match and smart match kind of these brands and the demographic they're going after and who the athletes that would fit that campaign would be based on who follows them. So we created thousands and thousands of points of different data. And it was all kind of internal for a while. And that's where we just launched our new tool, which kind of makes sports marketing easier. So for a brand, you come in, you explain what you normally would have explained to us. Here's my budget. Here's what I'm trying to achieve. Here's the
And you do that
demographic.
on millions.com or is that somewhere
Yeah, it's
else?
on Millions. So it's our new AI campaign builder that we're launching. It's available for early release right now, but people can go, they can sign up to it. They can it uses a chat GPT model. So you can go and converse with the tool and say, this is what I'm trying to do, my budget, and who I'm trying to go after. And it prepares for you, the best type of campaign based on what you're trying to do. So if you need content, if you're trying to do social, you're trying to create influence, you want to create more long-term authenticity versus one-time kind of relationships, it'll help identify um, uh, the best method to go with, but then it'll smart match you to all the athletes that fit within your budget and who have a higher percentage of your demographic that you're trying to target. That way, you can create
I don't
the
want to
the
sound
right
like a
level of
commercial for
influence.
millions, but that's a brilliant move on y'all's part.
Yeah.
because there's a ridiculous amount of value in there because when you think of any sort of marketing spend or advertising spend, you know uh, sometimes you're guessing until you start figuring things out. So if you can shortcut that process, that's huge.
Yeah, and and
you know
and look, like there's thousands of marketplaces to find influencers, and it really depends on what kind of business you have. So, before Millions, I had another business that I built that was a consumer product business. I built that for about 6 years. It got acquired in 2019, but I was looking for influencers for that, and there was a specific marketplace just for the niche of industry I was in, that I could find all the influencers in my space for ambassadors, influencers, professionals within that specific niche. So um, there's these marketplaces all over the place. But what none of them really help you do is identify who the right fit is for you. They're very like
Mhm.
laundry lists. Like you can search by sport or YouTuber or by industry, but then you'll have a price list and it's up to you to still figure out kind of who they are, and
Right.
who's the right fit. So we really wanted to
It's
make that
almost like
easy
you
for
need
you.
a consultant for that information.
Exactly. And that's, there are consultants, and it's still such a fresh game out there, even though there are thousands of marketplaces and there's tens or hundreds of thousands of influencers. It's a sea out there. And if you don't know how to, captain that ship, like it's easy to get lost in.
You know, so I'm just curious on Millions as well because I really want to try and figure that out if we can use the platform. That's the real thing. Is Are all of your athletes traditionally on Instagram? Is that like their main platform, or do they have other accounts and things that they're involved in? Like if I
Yeah.
wanted to find an athlete that was on LinkedIn in particular, are could I do that?
Yeah, we would be able to pair you with athletes that have YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. So those are kind of the major ones that we pay attention to. I would say that like most athletes are not going to have LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yeah.
Some do because some have gone on from their careers of sports to careers in business, right?
Yeah.
And so some definitely have it, and some are thought leaders on that space as well. Um, but it's also, what other applications could you have? So, in your line of business, how are you guys doing your reach outs? Are you DMing people on LinkedIn? Are you doing cold emails,
That
cold
yeah.
call?
We're getting ready to do a massive cold email campaign, but we're 100%. Our entire executive team does cold DMs on LinkedIn. That
Yeah.
is, and we've got that freaking dialed the hell in.
So something that we did for another B2B brand, I think they were a cybersecurity company, is they had different regions. So they had like their Northeast region, uh, and their South region and their West region that we were working with. And so they gave us a handful of different major cities, and we found kind of top collegiate athletes and top professional athletes or alumni from sports within those cities. We put together a budget for each of those athletes to record a personal video where it comes across very personalized one to one, but at the same time, really explains your business. And so it wouldn't say, "Hey, Donnie," but it would be like, "Hey, I wanted to reach out and say like you should come check out this cybersecurity company. It's awesome. Um, I think you'd love it." And they would introduce themselves, but by sending this to their potential clients, it's a face that you recognize, right? And so, what a
Mhm.
unique styled LinkedIn DM to get where, let's say you're a Yankees fan and a current Yankees player shows up on your LinkedIn and says, "Hey man, how's it going? Hope you're having a good day. I'm the pitcher for the New York Yankees. Wanted to invite you to come
Right.
check out Donnie's company," right? Like people need a kind of differentiator because you're getting
That's
hit
a
up.
huge pattern interrupt, man.
Yeah.
Because you don't see that every day.
And so it's
So
it's about creating difference. So it's not just about like how do I find an athlete who's a thought influencer on LinkedIn that can like be like, "Hey, here's a company I recommend," but it's also about how do I utilize like their name, image, and likeness to get an extra advantage in my current business. right? And so um, there's more than one style of influencer marketing. It's not just all about like getting them to post.
For sure. So, I mean, is you talked about the affiliate side of things? Would I be better for a summit getting somebody to post saying, "Hey, you should go check out this summit," or should I go the affiliate route and go, "Hey, if you can sell tickets off of this, we'll pay off of all the tickets you can sell off this."
Yes.
Is there a better way to be thinking about this?
Well, affiliate marketing works great, but not everyone's going to be open to an affiliate style of relationship, right? Like I said, traditionally with influencers, you're probably not going to get a huge ROI right off the bat. When you go try and work
Mhm.
with influencers, none of them are going to guarantee you an ROI. They're not going to guarantee you a certain amount of sales. They're usually going to be able to guarantee you an amount of impressions or a CPM. They can maybe guarantee you engagement, and they'll back that by doing multiple posts if their first post doesn't get the type of reach that they had promised. But even then, not a lot of influencers will promise that. And the reason they do that is because they don't know if this is going to create, sell out your product, or if it's not going to generate one sale. But they're for them to take on that affiliate relationship with one brand means that that's now kind of a custom that they could do with a lot of brands, and then they don't really have a career anymore or ability to monetize. Now, if you go the affiliate route, then you're going to find marketplaces where everyone on that platform is an affiliate, and some of them are affiliates through SEO, through blogging, articling, through ads, if you'll allow them. Others are through thought leadership and through influence. And so they've built pages and channels and communities and groups where they'll promote your product into, and they'll do it for just a commission. So if you can find the right affiliate partner, 100%, that's a great route to go because you don't have to pay up front for it. But if you want someone who has a much larger sense of influence, they know their worth, and they know the value of having their name behind something, or you having the ability to use their name, image, and likeness, and that goes a long way, right? And so they have to create a value to it.
Yeah, because I mean, for me, I'm partnering up with people who have other organizations like I am, and
Mm,
we're doing lives together. And like they may have an upcoming summit. So as we record this, like next week, I'm flying down to Atlanta to do the Battle Business Summit with my buddy Zach. My buddy Thomas Keenan's doing his shit. I can't remember the name of his summit up here, and we're going live together. We have similar audiences, similar client bases, and we're doing this kind of co-marketing, if you will, outside of like my network. How the hell would you find an affiliate that has your right audience and be able to reach out and go, hey, let's figure out how to partner up on this? You know, either blast your audience, bring me in your audience, whatever. Is it is it just a matter of a traditional Google search, or is there a magic button to find all these people?
yeah, it's usually just a traditional Google search. Like there's a lot of major affiliate marketplaces that you can go and kind of uh, list your product or your service on. You have like Impact, and you have Rakuten Advertising, and you have CJ Affiliates. Kind of those are the major big ones. But like I said, there's so many of these platforms, and it's really about finding the ones that also service your niche. So you can go find ones that are specifically in service based or specifically in B2B, and they may not have as many advertisers and as many publishers as like a CJ affiliates would have, but they're going to have people that are more specific to what you're trying to do. And
Yeah.
and there's literally hundreds of these. Like if you go search an affiliate marketplace, you're going to find hundreds. So it's definitely worth doing a Google search and finding, and you can go list yourself on multiple of these things.
Okay, I like it. So, it's funny is growing up, you never saw like movie stars in commercials, and
Hmm.
then now the movie stars realize, crap, there's a lot of money in freaking commercials. So now you got Matthew McConaughey rolling a booger in a freaking, commercial and those kind of things happening. Um, uh, with the Lincolns and those type of things, Shaq's all over the place because Shaq's realized that he can endorse, his own companies and influence the sales and everything like that.
Yeah.
No, but you're saying it's a long ass play. Um, how should somebody think through that strategy? Meaning, if it's a long play, am I thinking I hire a influencer, and I guess the question is, should I already have a strategy mapped out of what I need them to do? Should they know what to do? How do you best partner up with an influencer to get what you need over them over the long term play?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing you need to identify is like where are you trying to take your business and how are you trying to take it there? Like you need to know some questions and answers about your own business before you bring in a partner. Essentially, if you're doing a long-term relationship with an influencer, that's what they are, right? They're a partner, whether they're just a marketing partner, or maybe you in fact want to give them some kind of shares or equity, so they have a bit of stake in the game. But I think the first key thing that you need to do is identify your own answers to where you're going, how are you getting there, why are you getting there, um, what do you need to do to get there? Because if you can answer those questions for an influencer, they're going to have a better idea of how they can support you. So they'll know their audience, they'll know their fan base. We have a lot of brands that'll come in and be like, "Here's a script I want them to say." And I'm like, that's fine. They'll say that, but no one is going to believe that they actually wanted to say that or that this is, what they would
For
normally say.
sure.
Like I wouldn't give them complete flexibility where they can do whatever they want because they don't know your business as well as you do, but you don't know their fan base as well as they do.
Right.
So you need to collaborate with them where you're helping them understand your business and they're helping you understand their fan base and their own voice so that you can create a really authentic collaboration in the long run. And
Yeah, because I've heard Shaq talk about his commercials, and he's like, they'll come at me with a commercial idea, and then I'll tell them what I'm willing to do, and he's
mhm,
rewriting the scripts, as they're going along. And I'm sure he's fumbled the ball a few times on the scripts, but to your point, he knows what his fans are into and what they would be more likely to lean on. So I like the idea of the partnership in there.
yeah, and you kind of hit it into a different area of influencer marketing, which is these celebrities who are endorsing brands that they own. Obviously, Matthew McConaughey, I don't think owns any part of Lincoln, but
Right.
but you look at a lot of these athletes, or sorry, celebs who have their own alcohol brands now, and that's a really popular
Mhm.
trend. And
Look at Dwayne Rock Johnson, right?
exactly, they're all getting in
Freaking
the tequila
ki-
game.
yep.
But that's where things started to change. Was back in the day you got paid for your name, image, and likeness. It was, hey, you just won the gold medal. We're going to put you on the box of Wheaties, or we want you in a commercial, or we're going to do product placement in the movies. Now, athletes and celebrities, actors, actresses, they're starting to realize they can make a lot more money in owning a business and
Hmm.
utilizing the influence that they have to help promote that. Because you look at some of the richest celebrities that exist out there, it's not because they're making it all from their movies. It's not because they're making it all from their
Right.
sports contracts. And trust me, they make a lot of money in their sports contracts and in their movie contracts. But the real money comes when they start to get involved with businesses. And so, because that's become so popular, a lot of these celebrities are looking to get involved with businesses. And they've traditionally always had like a money manager who maybe invests into a business for them, or they've personally invested some funds into a business for them. But now they're realizing I don't need to just invest money, or I don't need to invest money at all. I can actually invest myself, and then help grow this so that I can get some takeaway from it. And so a lot of a lot of influencers now are open to the idea of, maybe instead of a large sum of cash, a partial sum of cash, but some equity in the business. And so for big companies like Lincoln, they can just afford to pay the price. But for
Yep.
smaller companies who are wanting to work with influencers, again, I think you kind of have two routes you can go. You can work with micro influencers, and I'll kind of speak a little bit about micro influencing and why that's become so popular in a moment here. But or you can try to work with some really big names and some big influencers, but that's going to cost you a pretty penny. So you can make some trade-offs of just straight cash with some equity. Maybe it's a mix of a deal, some commission, some equity, and some cash up front to really kind of take down the amount owing. So we've helped a lot of businesses create a lot of creative relationships with athletes that work for them and work for the athlete.
Yeah, so it's pretty smart. I mean, for a lot of traditional business, this whole idea of influencer marketing, especially if you're on the up and coming small business owner, it's just a wild, wild west in our heads because you know we only think about the massive celebrities, the massive sports people, like the TV series Quarterback that just came out
Mhm.
not too long ago. Imagine having those guys freaking endorsing your business, and you're like, oh my god, this shit's gonna blow up like crazy. So you've hinted at it a couple of times. Talk to me about the micro influencer side of things because that sounds like where we would be better spent, a play for our company.
Yeah, so what's funny about Instagram and all these social sites is they have algorithms throughout their platform which throttle your engagement. And what I mean by that is you may have someone who has 1 million followers, but you go look at their posts and maybe they have 100,000 likes or 80,000 likes or 50,000 likes. Why is that? Why is it that you have 1 million followers but not 1 million people engaging with your post every time, or when you make a post you don't have 1 million on your reach every time? It's because obviously Instagram and TikTok and all these social sites, they can't just go ahead and every time you post, show it to 1 million people because they also follow 1,000 other people, and
Mm-hmm.
so they can't show everyone's post all the time. So what that does is it creates they have algorithms. So if they make a post and it starts to trend a little, um, uh, then uh, then maybe it'll get a lot of reach and impressions. But if it doesn't, then it gets throttled. And so, on average, when you have someone who has a large following, they have about a 2 to 3, maybe on the high end, of 5% engagement rate. So 1 million people when they post, what's 5% of that? Is that 50,000? Is
Don't ask me to math.
so I think it's 50,000. So you're getting 50,000 people who are interacting with that post. Now, micro influencers are people with smaller following, usually like kind of in that 2,000 to 25,000 range. But their engagement rates are 10 to 20%. So
Hmm.
you have someone who has 25,000 followers and they're getting 5,000 people engaging with their posts. Um, Now you can afford 100 of those people for every person who has 1 million, right? Or you can afford 50 of them.
Right.
So now you can create long-term relationships with these micro influencers versus paying an arm and leg for a one-time post with a larger influencer. Or you can stack them. You can now work with 10 different micro influencers instead of just working with one major. And you'll still get, because of the way that engagement works, you'll still get the same amount of reach on fan base, but now you're covering different fan groups, different demographics, different regions. You're getting a variety of content that you can use for your own marketing. So now you don't just have one voice promoting your brand, you have 10 to 20. And you can take that content, you can use it, you can market your brand with it, and you can reach more people through that micro influencer. And the other thing too is, like, think about when you see a big star and they post themselves using a product. Um, on the one hand, you're going to have a lot of people who will see that and immediately want to go buy it. Uh, but you're also going to have a lot of people who kind of brush it off. They're like, they're so big, they do this all the time, so many brands. Micro influencers, there's a lot more trust. They feel like your family and your friend because they're not so big yet, and so their community tends to give a lot more trust. So you tend to get a decent ROI that comes from them off a smaller amount of posts than you would with larger influencers.
Yeah, and it goes right back to what it sounds like your AI is fixing. I've gone to the sites before and looked at the micro influencers, And I'm seeing a lot of, ooh, they're fashion, travel, and
Hmm.
luxury clothing lines or whatever else, and I'm like, none of these people fit my world.
Hmm.
None of these people I want to partner up with to talk about business, because they're, if somebody who talks nothing about clothing all of a sudden starts coming and talking about a business summit, and all their pictures are duck faced and all that crap, odds are their audience is not going to lean into it. So it goes back to what it sounds like your AI is hopefully fixing, being able to look at their client base and say, this actually makes sense to partner up with them.
Yeah, and it's amazing how many people come in and go, "Oh, I want to work with the biggest name or some name I recognize." And it's like, well, I could pitch you 1,000 people that you don't know their name, but their fan base would really resonate with your product, right? And so that's kind of where there's a bit of trust as well in the tool and kind of our expertise of the data we've put together, because just because you don't know them doesn't mean that they don't have that fan base and that influence over a fan base where they could promote sales to you. I mean, you don't know every customer you're trying to reach out to, right? So
Yep.
it's something where brands have to have a little bit more trust in like the idea of influencer marketing, to be able to trust the fact that they can pick someone who is a good fit on paper, but they just hadn't heard of them before.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my only stab of anything as influencer marketing was a really half-cocked attempt. We have another summit that we do mid-year called the Champion Summit, and it was in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I had a VA go and pull every person on LinkedIn in Cincinnati who had a 5,000 plus following on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
We sent them a message, said, "Hey, we'll give you a couple of tickets to come as our guest to the summit if you'll just post about you're going to be at the summit." And we had some people take us up on it. And I can tell you they didn't sell a single ticket for us.
Yeah,
So listen to this conversation. One, it was a short term play on my part, to do this. But two, I didn't look at their engagement level of, are people leaning in when they post things and the like. So, because to your point of the 2% versus 10%, you see somebody like Federer or The Rock, post, and you can watch how many people are actually seeing their content.
yeah.
You know, so it's wild. Just chalked it up as one more thing that us business owners got to think about from a marketing strategy, standpoint, is what is the best tactic to get your brand out there to get more awareness of what you're doing. When do you think that AI will be launched out for everybody to use?
So we'll be launching at the end of next month. So right now there's some early access. People can go to millions.co/AI and be able to sign up for that early access. And the full tool will be launching end of August. And we're just going to be consistently working on it, feeding it more data to make the AI smarter and smarter. So right now it has a lot of data points that we've built, but as more people utilize it, it'll just get even better.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Brandon, this has been really cool, my friend. Appreciate the insights and the discussion. How do people get in touch with you?
So you can email me at brandon@millions.co, and would love to talk with them, whether it's influencer marketing or other growth marketing. And if if you're a business and you're trying to figure out the right influencer and you're interested in sports, well, we have over 4,000 of them to connect you with. So feel free to
That's
shoot me
awesome.
an email and we can connect you with the right talent to represent your brand.